Hello, it's me again. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Love and light to you. Thanks so much for watching. So, my soul wanted to speak, and I decided to let my soul speak. So, I'm going to speak freely, but before I do that, I wanted to let you guys see the linen sculpt. Once again, this sweet beauty is up looking for her parent. This one, remember I told you she has love. I'm gonna say love. Well, she is the vibration of love, which is why it was so quick to want to come out. But she has amethyst, rose quartz, and tiger's eye. I'm pretty sure she has tiger's eye too, because I've been putting tiger's eye. I don't know, it's like I decided to put tiger's eye in almost all the ones I've been making so far. Not so far, but like lately, because it's like I feel like we all need a little extra protection, you know, a little extra shield. But yeah, so as I said, my soul wanted to speak. Where are the men that I was told would stand up for me? Where are the men that I was told would stand up for what's right? Why is it that the divine feminine finds it so hard to trust in man? Why is it that the energy of man towards woman is so static? Why is a question we all ask ourselves in the midst of all this chaos. Why is what we ask ourselves while we shed our tears, looking for those men that we were told would protect us, be there for us, stand by us, but never did. For centuries, generation after generation, women have been taken for granted, abused, shamed, assaulted, violated in ways unimaginable to mankind. Yet, it all seems to be forgotten, swept under the rug. Why is it that today we still have women that are willing to sweep their male family members or partners' dirty secrets under the rug to hide? Why is it that we as women deal with abuse, then in return abuse our children? Why is it that we as women don't cheer for each other, but try to tear each other down? Why is it that for love to reign, love has to leave? In the midst of it all, we ask ourselves, what is humanity? Where does humanity lie? Where do I stand within humanity? What part do I play? Am I amused? Am I amused by the people, by the actions, by the spirits, by the dark shadows of things I once done and now can understand? Why is it that it's so hard to find love? Why is it that we come from the vibration of love, yet we struggle to give it to one another? Why is it that instead of cheering for one another, we try to sabotage and backbite? Why is it that everyone doesn't have the same goals of breaking generational curses and patterns? Why is it that half of humanity is willing to burn and rot while the other stands and watches? But who is trying to make anything better? Why is it that the kindest, most loving souls you'll find are always in the worst situations, whether it be a shelter or jail? Why is it that we know that we're in the matrix but choose not to come out? Things need to change rapidly for the earth to evolve, because this frequency is one of such destruction. You all are not ready for this to come. Why is it that we're so comforted with the idea of a God we have no proof of, but so against looking within ourselves to find God? That's a good one, eh? Why is it that we're so afraid of our shadows? And here we go. Do you believe that you've abandoned your family, your kids, because of the secrets and the shadows you're afraid to fix? They say women are stronger emotionally than men are, right? But I guess that's the only thing that men think that we're stronger at them at, right? But we're stronger at everything. The reason why women seem, more emotionally intelligent or intelligent is because we are able to take the time. Well, some of us, not all, but most of us are able to take the time to look within ourselves and not blame others for our mistakes, right? A lot of times we blame others for our mistakes. We find excuses for our mistakes. We try to find reasons to justify the disgusting ways we treat people, when in reality, we treated those people like that because we wanted to treat them like that. It has nothing to do with the disgusting lies, even the thought of making things up as a reason why you're doing the wickedness is evil in itself, right? Like, that's super low vibrational, because why are you even doing that, right? I feel like humanity needs to really, really look within themselves. Humanity needs to search and try to find, love within your vessel. Find peace within oneself. That's literally why I make these dolls, because it's lonely, especially when you're on your journey. When you're sitting down with yourself and you're meditating, and sometimes you don't want to be around people when you're meditating. You want to be by yourself. You want to be able to bring up all your darkest, deepest thoughts, cry. You know what I mean? I remember when I wanted to cry, I was crying by myself. I didn't make dolls at that time, but if I had a doll, I would hug the doll, because you don't want to really cry on your kids, or on top of show your kids that you're crying, right? You want to put up a brave face, mommy's got this, daddy's got this, whoever, all, if it's a big happy family, all, we don't want to cry in front of our kids, so we want to cry alone. So we grab our cuddle buddies and we go in the blasted room. And then it's like, because my babies have like crystals in them and lavender, the lavender is so soothing. Like, I always smell that in between bawling. I always smell my baby's bellies in between bawling because I fill them up with lavender, because we need that relief of anxiety, you know, and the rose quartz to attract love, which we all need love. We all have underlying self, you know, insecurities and things we have to deal with, things that we haven't been able to pull out of the dark, right? When I speak to the divine male, I don't speak to attack. I speak to shine light on the dark areas. You know, why are we making excuses for why we don't see our children, or why we are not helping, you know, or, you know, for women, why are we making the same excuses that we're not seeing our children, or why are we, you know, making excuses about our circumstances? Or, I understand life. Trust me, I understand life. I've been on my own since 16. I didn't have no parents. I raised myself, right? Life is like, and that's why I come to ask the divine masculine what's going on, because in my situation, I've been able to reflect so deeply on myself and transform myself and try to like do things for myself. But for the men who abandon all their responsibilities, that are still nowhere, you know, and struggling with no responsibilities, it makes me question, when was the last time you sat and looked within yourself? This is something we all must do. Even the men who, you know, you believe that you're woke or you're healed, if you feel at any point you're defensive about something, I think that's something that you should really look within your vessel about it. Sometimes I know our egos overpower our thoughts, our egos overpower our actions, but it is for us to control our egos, not to let our egos control us. There are no circumstances in which you should be okay with not seeing your children. That is odd, right? That's weird. There should never be any circumstances that you're just okay with giving other people your responsibilities, and like, some of those things are super, super weird. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta do better. We gotta do better as, you know, as society. We can't want women to look up to us, or men, because not everybody's straight. You know, we can't want our partners to look up to us when we're making excuses for everything. Okay, so the other day, we were doing some like birth chart work, and you know, there's this little thing about Sagittarius risings never being in the birth home for their kids or whatever, never being in the home for their kids or whatever. So I was speaking to my eldest about it, because I was thinking, like, you know, that is so interesting how life would take you literally like on, it's like a little merry-go-round. It goes round and round. And I was saying, you know, that's not something that I would ever want. You know, I would want my kids to be with their partners and take care of their kids or whatever, right? And so I was trying to dig deeper into why that is, why, like, what's going on. And I realized that it is the excuses. And growing up as a mother, you know, your kids make excuses for stuff, your kids lie. And we as mothers, I think sometimes we have soft spots. Sometimes we forgive because, I mean, like, they're kids. We don't want them to feel the same way we feel. We don't want them to be angry at us, you know. Especially me, I like to avoid conflict at all costs, like, for real. Especially since I had like such a hard life at such a young age. Like, yeah, I just try to have a really, really calm life with no drama, no nothing. It's like, it's for us to stand firm, you know. I know a lot of times we feel bad, especially because, like, when it's just us with them, you know, it's like you feel bad. I remember I used to always feel bad, even though, like, I knew, like, oh man, he's asking for cookies and it's like 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock, and I'm like, yeah. And it's like, at first I would say no, but then I just feel so bad and I just give him a cookie. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, you think about stuff, you know, just like, oh my gosh, like, you see all the things you've overlooked, you know, and you try to break the habits, but then it's like, some habits, the kids, or some journeys, I believe that the kids just are meant to walk, you know, they're just meant to be who they are, honestly. So it's like, I've learned to try to not to attach myself too much to his journey and not to attach myself too much to everyone's journey, because we're all individual souls. And I took this like as even in the afterlife, like don't take offense if your ancestor moves on and gets reincarnated again or does something else or is not by you, because at the end of the day they're also an independent soul, right? And their energy is allowed to go wherever it pleases, but their essence will always be with you, right? It's just like I haven't spoken to my grandmother, I think, in like 2 years or something, but I feel her essence. I know that she's okay. I mean, like, I know she's as okay as she could be at this moment, right? But yeah, sometimes we overlook a lot, and a lot of kids, like, we don't grow up taking accountability as much as we should. There's always excuses. And so that's what I'll even say for myself, like, I was looking back at everything and I was saying, I understand that I was a kid when I had my son, and I'm grateful. I was even saying, like, I'm actually grateful that I never had parents, because, and like, I was on my own, because I'm like, I was able to gain so much wisdom and so much insight, and I was able to get to know myself on such a deep level. And that's what led me to painting dolls, and I think I'm pretty darn good at it, if you ask anybody. I mean, I personally think I'm amazing, but that could just be me, because I'm the one making I'm the one making them and bonding with them. Oh my goodness, such a cutie, eh? Yeah, like, for reals. Like, honestly, like, to make an impact, we first have to really, really want to. We have to try. We gotta try. It's hard at first, it's very hard at first. Especially for a lot of single moms. Like, we're scared too, we don't abandon, women don't abandon our kids, right? As much as men do. And I feel like that proves in itself that we're like stronger, because we're willing to do it on our own. You guys know, like, most men, if you leave them with their kids one day, they'll start crying. I know it's so funny, because it's always the men who say that they wouldn't be crying because they take care of their kids and all kind of stuff, and then God, the second you go into their house, they're doing exactly what you thought they were doing. It's mostly always the woman, but there are some amazing dads out there. I know it's hard to believe, but I believe that there are amazing dads out there, because I believe I had an amazing dad in one of my past lives. So I know there are amazing dads out there. I know there are, and I hear some people speak very highly of their dads. So I'm not gonna say they're not out there. I know they are, but they're very few. I just know that women are very strong. We've been doing it all alone. We've been making something out of nothing this entire time. And it's really sad, because that is why the collective does not respect men, because I guess it's just kind of something like we've been always doing it on our own. So like what do we really need y'all for, right? Which is really absolutely disturbing, because companionship matters, you know what I mean? But like, I feel like it's usually like men trying to ask like women what do they bring to the table, when in fact the woman's carrying the entire blasted table on her head top. Like, it gets to a point. I stopped messaging anybody back on Facebook when they're a male or wherever they message me from, and they ask me what I do for a living, because I'm always thinking these men are looking for like sugar mamas now or something. Like, it's like a new trend for men to be taking women's money, and I think it's very odd. Very, very odd. And then when you call the men out on it, they don't like that, right? But there are plenty of women right now dealing with this exact situation. The man saying he can't work, he can't find work, and he could damn well find work. He's choosing not to find work. Just excuses upon excuses. But you know what? At the end of the day, that was my problem. I was a young mom, and in my head, I was thinking, these boys, this guy got me pregnant. He got to help me. I didn't realize that the boy can run away for his life and never look back. As a teenager, you don't think that, right? To say with that last part is, as women, we make excuses too, especially when we're young. It's like, I can't do this because I don't have help. I can't do that. But you know what, guys? Sometimes our dreams might seem far and in between. It's like, oh my God, like that sounds like something I can't accomplish. But I'm gonna tell you something right now, love. If you are home with that baby and you feel like it's so hard for you to get work, whatever it is, what is your hobby? Start there. Do you have any hobbies? What about that hobby do you like? Get into that hobby as your job, and honey, soar. Okay, do what you do. Do what you gotta do, and get yourself out of that situation. I heard them say Pepsi only sold 2 bottles in their first year. So honey, anything is possible. You don't need these men's help to get anywhere. You don't. Okay, I did it as a child with nothing. So, people will try to pull you down and tear you down, but honey, you got it. You are her, and you don't need anybody to tell you that, because you are literally freaking her. Available in my reborn nursery. Link is in the bio. I'm currently I'm currently doing the Christopher sculpt right now, but I'll show that one when I'm done rooting. But yes, you can make her yours on my channel. As you hear the frequencies in the background, these babies high vibrational, right? They live in a frequency, because one thing about me, I'm a frequency girl. Always in a frequency. All I do is meditate and self-reflect and think. Yes, look at her details. I think I'm amazing. I'm an amazing artist. Like, what? I think she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She's a beauty. A beauty. She's a beauty. She's a beauty. Yeah. Bring her home. She's cute. Oh, she is such a cutie pie. I want to buy another London sculpt because I want one. And my daughter seen her. My dad's like, she wanted one too. I know, like the sculpt is so cute, and I love the way I painted it. And I feel like I'm just getting better and better every single time I paint. Because I don't know if it's just me, but I love the Christopher sculpt so far. So we'll see how it turns out, and if it's a girl or a boy. Oh. Say, are you my mommy? Buy me and bring me home right now. This lady has so much stuff to send with me. Toodles. Until next time, thanks so much for watching.